All right, today's wedding planning question is, how do you address when you want to invite only certain select children to your wedding, but not every guest invited is invited to bring their kids? I see some variation of this at like 80 or 90% of the weddings I work. It is a very simple solution. Let me explain. My name is Meredith. I'm a Wisconsin-based wedding planner, and I share all my wedding planning tips and tricks for all the engaged couples on TikTok. We know that guest lists are very personal, and they are determined by a multitude of factors. Your budget, your venue seating capacity, your personal preference, all of that comes into play. So only you know your right answer on how to distinguish which kids are invited and which ones should not be. I see it all the time where a wedding is kid-free, but they still have a flower girl or ring bearer. Or it's a kid-free wedding, but the couple has kids of their own and they're included in the wedding. That's normal. That's fine. I've seen other variations where like only your direct nieces and nephews are invited, only the children of the wedding party. Whatever that distinction is that you settle on, it is your VIC club, your very important children's club. Because it's so common, because it's so normal to only include children in weddings on a as invited basis, the rest of your guests who don't fall into that category understand, or at least it's expected that they should understand. So all you really need to worry about is communicating clearly to your guests whether or not their invitation is an adults only invitation. How do you do that? The first technique to know, the first time your guests are going to get their first clue about this, is how you address your envelopes on both your save the dates and your invitation. I always like to use the TV show The Office when I talk about this scenario. There is a difference if you address the envelope to say Jim and Pam Halpert versus the Halpert family. Which verbiage do you think implies only 2 adults are invited? Which verbiage do you think implies that the kids are included? So choose your wording carefully. If you don't plan to include the kids, don't use the word family. Be direct. If you're only inviting the adults, only list the adults' names. The second way to imply that an invitation is adults only is how you word the RSVP. If you are doing a paper RSVP, I want you to write a line that says, "We have reserved 2 seats in your honor," because you can't bring 4 people if they're only holding 2 seats for you. The better, more foolproof way is to do the digital RSVP, which most of you are doing now anyway. Because on your end, you get to import which guests they can make an RSVP selection for, and it's only going to generate the adults. They won't even have an option to select a yes or no box for the kids. At its core, theoretically, that should be enough to clue your guests that their kids are not invited. However, in the real world, we know that there is one more step required. If you feel like you need to make an explicit explanation because you feel like some guests are just going to have questions, then you can include a little something on your wedding website. Most commonly, this is done on like a frequently asked questions page. And then you just write a little blurb. It can say whatever. Please enjoy date night on us for this adults only reception. Select children will be accommodated on an invitation only basis. Please refer to your personal invitation for further clarification. And then if guests really want to have a little fit and question about like, well, why is the maid of honor's kid included, but my kid's not? You're only my coworker, Terry. Leave your kid at home. Good guests who respect boundaries will understand. And the guests that just don't understand, who just don't get it, you don't have to apologize and you don't have to change your mind. Remember, when you're planning a wedding, you don't owe anybody anything. If your guests have a problem with the planning choices you make, that's a them problem, not a you problem.